Good afternoon, guys. Now let's take two on explanation A or discussion A. Uh, title today is End of Life. Nurse says everyone should create a memory box before they die. Mementos, so that their loved ones can be comforted when they pass, when the person passes. Sort of a legacy box or memory box, whatever. Those two things are the same, mean the same thing. So we'll discuss that for A. So please join me for today's discussion A. End of life nurse says everyone should create a memory box before they die, based primarily on the surrounding page content surfaced in the research results. What the text means based on surrounding content across the articles. End of life professionals, nurses, chaplains, and hospice teams describe a memory box as a deeply meaningful, practical way for people to shape how they'll be remembered. And to offer comfort to loved ones after they die. Core idea: a memory box is a container filled with personal, meaningful items, photos, letters, music, small objects, recorded messages that reflect a person's life, values, relationships, and personality. It becomes a tangible legacy for loved ones to hold on to after the person has died. Why end of life workers recommend it? End of life nurses and chaplains see firsthand how much families cherish these boxes and how people intend to create one but run out of time or energy. One chaplain described a patient who desperately wanted to make a memory box for their children, but kept postponing it until they no longer felt well enough to do it. Something the chaplain found heartbreaking. Professionals emphasize that creating memory boxes helps people reflect on their lives and share their story in their own voice. Offers comfort, continuity, and reassurance to children or grandchildren. Gives families something to hold, revisit, and draw strength from during grief. Allows a dying person to participate in shaping their legacy while they still can. Creates meaningful bonding moments between person and their loved ones during the process. What typically goes inside memory boxes? According to The surrounding content. Memory boxes often include photos, letters or notes, favorite music, small personal items, recorded messages, books or mementos tied to important events, emotional and practical purpose for families, especially children. These boxes help preserve memories. Reinforce the person's love and offer something to return to during grief. For the dying person, the act of creating the box can be grounding, empowering, and emotionally meaningful. In short, the text reflects a common message from end of life professionals. Creating a memory box is one of the most meaningful, accessible, and emotionally supportive things someone can do before they die. It preserves connection, eases grief, and ensures that the person's voice and presence remain part of their loved ones' lives. Okay. Then the second part of this, guys, is how memory boxes help patients that are going through the process. So we're gonna go through the other side of that now for this presentation for the second part. So here we go. Here's a clear, grounded explanation of the text. Memory boxes for patients and how they are helping our families through grief. Based primarily on the surrounding page content from St. Rocco's Hospice. What the text is saying based on the page. The article describes how St. Rocco's Hospice is using memory boxes as a gentle, meaningful tool to support patients and their families facing incurable illness and grief. The focus is how these boxes help people preserve connection, pass on memories, and navigate the emotional terrain of loss. What a memory box is. According to the page, a memory box is a container that holds special items belonging to the patient, to a patient, things that reflect their life, relationships, and personality. Families can create one together while their loved one is still alive, or hospice staff can help assemble one after the person has passed. Why the hospice introduced them. Guys, making a memory box, be it the patient starting it or the family does one after they pass, It's a easy tool for them to use for grief and to remember their loved one, uh, their loved one's life, legacy, and things that they don't wanna forget. It helps them keep their loved one in their lives. A senior nurse, Jane, saw how meaningful these boxes could be and worked with a volunteer to create handcrafted versions of the ward. The idea grew out of other project letters to loved ones where people write messages on wildflower seeded paper. That letter that later gets planted in the hospice garden. The memory boxes extend that same spirit of remembrance and continuity. What goes inside? The page lists several types of items that can include photos, favorite music, letters, recorded messages, small personal items. These items help children and adults alike remember happy times and feel connected to the person who has died. How memory boxes support grief. The surrounding content emphasizes that creating a memory box can be emotional, sad, overwhelming, but so deeply meaningful. It gives families something tangible to hold on to during grief. It helps people take the memory forward, which is a key part of healthy grieving. Decorating the boxes, sometimes done by grandchildren, can be a comforting participatory ritual. The hospice has even begun developing smaller trinket boxes and plans to include a tea light that families can light on anniversaries. In short, the text highlights how memory boxes serve as compassionate, practical tool for remembrance, helping families stay connected to their loved one's story and easing the grief journey. They blend creativity, ritual, and emotional support in a way that feels accessible and deeply human. Okay, guys, that is A for you. I will be back on with B shortly. Give me a bit for that, and I'll be back on with that for you. For now, Gator Wellness, Take care, guys. Remember, you can leave me comments about shows in the chat, or questions about shows I've done, or show ideas. Leave them in the chat below for me, please. And I will see what I can do about getting you shows on that make requests for, or comments to. That helps me decide what shows I'm gonna do. So, with that being said, I will be back on with B shortly. For now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks.